Hello and welcome, all of you amazing people. We are back here today with another league here with Amulet Titan, the list that you see in front of you on screen here. We just have a few small little pivots from the list I played last league, and the changes are -1 Turn Timber Symbiosis, +1 Explore, and the Ghost Quarter was moved from the main board to the sideboard to make room for a additional bounce land, the fourth Gruul Turf here. I don't know what I was about to say. So we now have a total of 9 bounce lands. I did feel I often was missing only a bounce land for hands to be keepable and to work out, and at the same time, I also felt like I oftentimes was mulliganing hands that had a Summoner's Pact or a Titan and a Turn Timber Symbiosis and nothing else to really go on. And so, for that reason, I've trimmed down to 2 Turn Timbers just because I don't really want them in my opening hand if I can avoid it. And that's the reasoning behind that. And so, in order to give us a little additional velocity and some more cheap ramp that doesn't require us to do nothing until turn 3, we've added another copy of Explore here. Perhaps it could be a Sakura Tribe Scout, I'm not sure, but as you already most likely know by this point, I'm not a big fan of Tribe Scout in general, so I decided we'd just avoid that one for the time being. And everything else is the same. We still have our amazing Relic of Progenituses in the sideboard. We subtracted 1 negate from the sideboard to make room for the Ghost Quarter here, as I do think Ghost Quarter will be relevant against opponents playing Mystic Sanctuary. It'll be relevant against Tron, and also Eldrazi Tron, but Green Tron more so. And so it's one that we want to have access to. We can also bring it in matchups that we are siding other lands out, such as Cavernous Holes. We can replace that one with a Ghost Quarter against Jund, so we can hit their Raging Ravines and whatnot if we want to. We can bring in the Ghost Quarter against the red-green Ponza decks, so that we can Ghost Quarter ourselves to get a basic land. As unideal as that is, it might be better than the alternative. But mainly it's there for Tron, as if you can't get a Ghost Quarter when your Titan resolves, then you're probably going to have a hard time beating Green Tron. But if your first Titan trigger gets a... or not first Titan trigger, but if your Titan lines up to activating a Ghost Quarter at the end of your sequence against Tron, you're most likely to win. So there's that. I suppose it could be a Tectonic Edge, but without 1 Ghost Quarter already in the main 60, I think that the first land destruction effect you probably want access to is Ghost Quarter. So we've got that one still here. All the Beast Withins, all the Dismembers. I could see trimming a Dismember to go up to the second negate, as it's a weird card to be playing one of, but we'll manage. We do have the Pact Negation in the main board anyway, so it won't be too big of a deal. And we still have a full 3 copies of Engineered Explosives. I was impressed by it last time. I felt like we were very often top-decking an Engineered Explosives when it was quite good, and it's nice to have that come up, so... Anyways, that is the explanation behind the subtle pivots here. We're just trying to very gently tune the list to being the best that it can be. And with that said, I will see you guys in match 1. Let's cross our fingers here and hope we don't get paired against Green Tron in this entire league, because having our Ghost Quarter in the sideboard is definitely going to be a bit of a liability against that deck specifically. If we can manage to dodge Tron, I'll be pretty happy. And if we manage to play against it, then I guess we'll just have to try to win 2 out of 3 games. Alright. We will be on the play here, of course. Of course. Oof. This hand. Ugh. It's so gross, but it's... I don't know if I want to mulligan it or not, though. Because we can cast an Explorer on turn 3. Yeah, nah. Let's not do that. I'm a little bit of a simp for Explorer, but even I have to turn away that terrible hand. This hand, however, just needs to top deck a Titan and we're good, and in fact we can bottom the Feel the Dead here and still have Titan mana and a Pact of Negation to back it up. So the Pact of Negation will be good against an opposing control deck. The Field, probably not going to be super relevant to already have in play if our opponent's not playing control, but I think for that reason, we're going to go ahead and bottom the Field. I suppose the only thing that would punish us is if we don't draw a Titan, but we do set up Valakut plus Dryad. I don't know, though, because we can also go turn 1 Field, turn 2 Valakut, turn 3 Forest, and not have to miss any of our land drops that way, and not have to expose our bounce lands. Kind of odd. I don't know. It's a toss-up, because if our opponent's on control, we really want this pact. But I guess we're not playing against Aether Gust, so maybe we can fade a couple draw steps against control and plan our game out a little bit more accordingly. So let's just keep the field here. Not the most exciting prospect, but that's cool. And we'll just play it out. We can play an Explore next turn if we draw it. Fingers crossed. I happen to love playing turn 2 Explore. It's a great feeling. Explore. Another land, huh? Okay, well, here's Valcut and a pass back. Maybe our opponent just puts us on red-green Scape Shift. Who knows? Opponent fetch shocked on our main phase. It's interesting. Haggle. Oh, we're playing against Dredge. Interesting. Well, our hand's a little slow against Dredge, not gonna lie. Dryad plus Valakut is pretty good against Dredge, though, not gonna lie. And if we do manage to spike a Titan here, we might be able to clean up what our opponent's doing if they don't go off too fast here. Creeping Chill. Okay. Creeping Chill is not actually the biggest deal against us. We do have a prized Amalgam here and a Silver Smoke Ghoul, so they're going to get a little bit of a board state. Luckily, our Dryad stacks up really well against Silver Smoke Ghoul in particular, since we can always just block that one for days. Taking our one from Narcomoeba. Now we draw the Explorer. You're a little late there, bud. Yeah, we just gotta put a Dryad into play here. So let's do that. And we'll put out our Growth Chamber, I suppose. Picking up our Forest. Not that it makes a huge difference. It's not like we can... I guess, no. Yeah, there's nothing we can draw here that lets us Titan this upcoming turn, so... We can't quite trigger Dryad just yet. I suppose with the Explorer we can get one Valakut trigger. No, that's not true either, because we would have to pick up a land to the bounce land, so definitely not playing around anything. I don't think our opponent could have anything to do a remaining point of damage here, unless they had a main board Lightning Axe, perhaps, but that would kill Dryad regardless of whether we block or not, so we're clearly making this trade. I suppose our opponent still wants to attack with both, though, because if they just attack with the Amalgam, we just block and they don't get any damage through, so... Makes sense. I suppose they're hoping that they can get their Smoke Ghoul back into play pretty quick. Stinkweed Imp is an interesting one. Second Explorer might allow us to get Valakut trigger this turn. Well, let's just lead on that one, leaving a blue floating here in case we want to transmute a Talaria West. Okay, so we have our Titan set up. That's good. Alright, let's cycle another Explorer here, I suppose. Garenbrig. Okay. So we do get to trigger our Dryad this turn. And let's kill the... I guess we can block the Amalgam. Don't really want to put the Dredger back in their yard, though. Let's kill the Amalgam, and I think we get another land drop, so we might be able to kill the Narcomoeba as well. I definitely don't want to put the Stinkweed Imp in the graveyard for them. Yeah, let's just pick up and play the Garenbrig here. That was a pretty nice sequence. And we'll pass it back. Our opponent has a lot of work to do to kill us here, and if they don't, then we just get to resolve a Titan, and that's almost assuredly lethal, so... We'll just yield through this turn. Not that we have anything to do. It's so nice to play a deck that has a good Dredge matchup. Before I played Amulet Titan, I used to play a lot of blue-white control, and it frequently felt like you could never beat Dredge. They would auto-win game 1, and then you had to spike 2 games post-sideboard with your sideboarded Rest in Pieces or Surgical Extractions or whatever, and just hope that you could win 2 games in a row post-sideboard, because there was no way you were winning game 1. And, well, here we are playing a deck that probably is likely to win any single game that you play against Dredge, regardless of whether it's main board or sideboard, so... Our opponent just has to... I guess there are a couple ways our opponent could get back in this game here. If they killed our Dryad, which they have access to a Conflagrate for, so that might be good enough, although we still get to trigger Field of the Dead, so I guess we'd have to worry about potential not cathartic, what am I thinking of? I almost said conflagrate, but they already are going to have used one, so I don't think that we'll need to worry too much about a second conflagrate. The thing I was thinking about is Creeping Chill. That's the card that starts with C that I was trying to think of. If they milled over several Creeping Chills, then we might lose that way, but considering we're going to be able to get Radiant Fountain and something else, and there goes the conflagrate. They see the line. So we're going to get perhaps Pajuka Bog and Radiant Fountain here. And we are definitely casting Titan for sure. Is it worth hasting? I think so. It uses up a land drop. But they would have to mill over... I mean, they can't... Conflagrate doesn't do anything against us anyway, so they'd have to mill over several Creeping Chills to kill us. So maybe one Radiant Fountain trigger is fine. So I'm going to go for the haste here. And of course, we can only do that because we already have a Valakut up. So here we get 100 battlements and a bounce land. Let's go with a growth chamber, I suppose. And we get to trigger field and just pick up our battlements and play it for turn here so we can haste our Titan. I suppose we could get a second Radiant Fountain trigger by getting Vesuva, copying a bounce land and picking it up to its own ability, and then grazing it in as a copy of Radiant Fountain. Of course, we can't have Vesuva enter as a Radiant Fountain because the Radiant Fountain will be entering simultaneously, and it's not already on the battlefield for the Vesuva to copy. I think that's what I'm going to go for. I really think that our opponent's best out here is just hitting multiple Creeping Chills off the top, so that's what we'll do. Also, our Grazer can block their flyer here, so we get to conserve an additional... Oh, wait. Don't want to do this during our attack phase, for sure. Almost made a grave mistake here. Here's Grazer. And here we'll just gain 2 more life, trying to grow out of the range of these possible Creeping Chills, and hope that that's good enough. So now if they milled over double Creeping Chill, we still don't lose. So, no Creeping Chills. They did hit an Ox of Agonist, which is interesting. Let's see, for Dredges, they have a Thug, and it looks like that's it. No, Life from the Loam. Yeah, so they can mill over a couple of cards with Loam and Thug. They would have to hit exactly the last 3 Creeping Chills in order to kill us here, I think. So, I'm sure our opponent knows that. Let's just 6 through this turn here. Okay, we got a Narcomoeba. So far, no Creeping Chills. Okay, so I think we'll be good here. So our Titan attack trigger will get a Bounce Land and Talaria West. We'll pick up the T West. We'll transmute for a Dryad second main phase and play it, and then have 2 land drops with the Gruul Turf. So that'll be 6 damage. Assuming that they can't block all of our zombies, that should just be lethal. Let's see, we have 6-7 attackers to their... I mean, they're going to have a ton of blockers here. Our best top deck here would either be a Dryad or Summoner's Pact, or a second Valakut. Any of those pretty much locks it up. Oh, they hit all 3 Creeping Chills? What? Oh my goodness. Okay, so we're going to a game 2 here. Down a game. That's ridiculous. Okay, so let's bring in these relics. Let's bring in Reclamation Sage, perhaps, to answer a Blood Moon, or perhaps kill off a the artifact one. I forget what it's called. Shriekhorn, I believe is what it is. I don't know. Maybe it's better to be bringing in Beast Withins for potential Magus of the Moon. Yeah, let's just bring in a pair of Beast Withins to play around that distinct possibility. Explosives, not really something I'm super excited in. Do we want Ghost Quarter? I'm thinking probably not. It's probably pretty irrelevant against a Life from the Loam deck. So, let's shave these caverns for sure. Pack of Negation seems a little unnecessary. Explore is a little slow, but not the worst, especially if our opponent brings in things like Thoughtseize, so I don't want to trim on a whole lot of those, but trimming one seems fine. Turn Timber seems like it could be pretty good here as well, because hitting Dryad or Titan off of a Turn Timber is just fantastic. And even just a random, like, Grazer as a huge blocker can be relevant. We could trim a Summoner's Pact. I don't know if I like that. Probably just the Explosives. I'm cool with that. Explosives doesn't hit a whole lot here, so it's kind of expensive for what it does. We'll be on the play, of course. We got a Relic. We've got a bit of things going on here. It's kind of a weird hand, but I think the Relic slows our opponent down enough that we should go ahead and keep off the back of this Relic. And the fact that we're only one land away from Titan mana anyways, with double Summoner's Pact to be able to find our Titan. If we can draw some ramp, like an Explorer would actually be a fantastic top deck here, I think. But any kind of ramp, like a Grazer or a Dryad or an Azusa off the top, would be good. We're going to go ahead and run out this Relic immediately so that it doesn't get Thoughtseized. If our opponent has a Thoughtseize, that is. It could get Nature's Claimed, but, I mean, whatever. That's fine. Shriekhorn, you got it. Here's our Grazer. That does help us quite a bit here. Do we want to put a bounce land in and replay our Snow Forest here so we can hold up a Relic activation, or is that a little too early? I think we just chill on that. Let's put out the Talaria West and play Field. I actually kind of intended to play Gruul Turf and pick up the Snow Forest there, but no, it's fine. It's whatever. It's no big deal. Sadly, if we top decked exactly, Amulet would be 1 mana short of casting Titan via an Azusa, so... That would not be the case if one of the lands that we have in play right now was a Castle Garenbrig, but that is not the case, so... I guess we don't want to yield here, because if our opponent Shriekhorns, we might want to Relic immediately. Hopefully we won't get punished too bad by not just going ahead and popping off this Relic, but we'll see. I think the very first 3 or 6 cards that they mill are not going to be that terribly important. Hopefully I'm not wrong. Oh, it's only 2 at a time, so that's even better for us. Alright, here we go. The fact that they have not yet hit a Dredger is quite good for us. Let's hope that they don't on the next 2 either. Hey, too easy. Too easy. They hit 4 lands. Can you believe it? They do have the Nature's Claim, so I guess we denied ourselves the possibility for a card draw here. So, do we pack for a Dryad or an Azusa here? I think maybe we do. I guess, and we can't even lose the Blood Moon because we have Forest in hand, so let's just go for it. I think it's going to be Dryad, so we can trigger Valakut here as well, so... I suppose... No, our opponent can't cast a Blood Moon or Mages of the Moon next turn anyways, since they missed a land drop, so let's just go ahead and pick up a Forest here anyways, so we can get an untapped source ready. Not that we can cast a Titan this upcoming turn anyway, since we do have to pay for our Summoner's Pact. If our opponent has the 2 mana Ghost Quarter effect, whatever it's called. I can't remember the name of it for the life of me, but it's Ghost Quarter your opponent, they draw a card. Lightning Axe. That's fine. It's part of the reason why we did that immediately anyways, is that if that was going to happen, it was going to happen regardless. So might as well get it out of the way immediately. So we are set up to just slam a Titan here. And yeah, we'll pass it back. Our opponent has a Dredger in the yard now, though. If they really wanted to do that, and, like, say we hadn't played the Dryad, they could have just axed our Grazer anyways, so that's not really a huge consideration. Thankfully, they haven't hit, like, an Ox or something. Although, to be honest, I doubt that they'd be able to cast it if they did hit an Ox, but... Cathartic is pretty bad news. They hit a Ghoul and an Amalgam, but no additional Creeping Chill. I think maybe the Ghoul will come back anyways. Is that how that works? Yeah, so they'll get the Ghoul back anyways. They will have a bit of a board state here, which is pretty unfortunate, but this one does have reach, so let's not get punked out of our 1 life here. Oh, I guess if we got a Bog, we'd still be able to exile the Amalgam before it comes back, so definitely into that. Let's get our Titan here. We'll cast a Titan, and we already have Field in play, so we can easily get Radiant Fountain here if we really wanted to. I don't think that's necessary, though. Okay, yeah, that's just gonna be enough for the concession anyways. Makes total sense. Okay, so... Explore's still not too bad here. I don't think I really want to change anything. Didn't see anything that we would need to Beast Within, in all honesty, so maybe we're playing around something that doesn't exist. I'm gonna risk it for the biscuit here and bring in Explore, because it's just too sexy not to have 4 copies of. And I guess Reclamation Stage still would allow us to blow up a Shriekhorn. It's a little slow for that, though. Maybe not. Let's just keep the Ghost Quarter. Perhaps keeping the Cavern is better for Grazer on 1. Or for a Dryad on turn 3 if we just have a bunch of colorless sources. I don't know. Yeah, let's do a Cavern. If we need an additional Valcat trigger, we can always rely on our trusty fetch land here, so... We'll just run it back this way. No respect for Blood Moon whatsoever. Who respects it? I don't. Here we got another turn 1 Relic hand, so that's a snap keep, in my opinion. Now the question is, are we just going to run out Grazer immediately, or run out Relic immediately? Unclear. If we Grazer immediately, then we can play a top deck 3-drop, especially if we just happen to top deck one right now. Then it might be worth throwing out the Grazer. Our opponent probably has a Haggle here. Let's go with the Grazer. I want to be able to play and pop a Relic immediately and not give our opponent the forewarning of it, so... We have plenty of untapped sources. Don't really want to expose ourselves to the 2-mana card, Cleansing Wildfire, that I finally remembered the name of. I guess there's no reason not to just put a Tolaria West out here. Our opponent didn't haggle. Maybe they clicked through it, or maybe they just chose not to do it. Cathartic. Yep. And a couple Dredge cards, so let's hope they don't hit too much here, and then we can clean this up. Creeping Chill's fine. They still have a couple Dredge cards left here as Stinkweed Imp, so that might be enough to make me want to go ahead and blow this this Relic immediately. Explorer is fantastically nice here. It lets us get a land drop ahead and play and pop Relic, so I'm liking where this is going. So yeah, we'll explore. I suppose the only thing that we're sacrificing is the ability to play a Titan exactly this upcoming turn if we play Hanweir into Relic, but that's probably fine. I think Relic does enough that we should just play it and let it ride. Do we pop the Relic here? That is the question. Our opponent could still haggle in their upkeep so that they could have a Dredger in the yard in their draw step. I'm not sure if there's much harm to letting our opponent Dredge in their draw step, so I'm just going to pass it back. I suppose they could hit a Creeping Chill or something, but I mean, a Creeping Chill with no board state is fine with me. And we can do this again this upcoming turn anyways. So they hit a Narcomoeba and a Creeping Chill. I guess we can actually exile both of these so the Creeping Chill doesn't go through. Do we care about this? I don't think that we care. Yeah, let's let it go through. Because if they have another Cathartic, then we stop them from casting it by holding up this Relic. So let's just take the damage. Give them their 2-mana 1/1 flyer for free that we don't really care that much about. We can always just block this thing all day with Grazer. If they play a Cathartic, they have to discard some Dredgers. Loam. Ooh, do we care about this? What we're going to do is we're going to hope our opponent doesn't have a fetch land. We're going to pop Relic, and then next turn we can play Relic and tap it immediately to exile this Loam, since it'll be the only thing in our opponent's graveyard, so that they don't get the additional land drops. And if they don't have anything going here, then we can get rid of their Dredger too. They have a Dackmore Salvage. See, so this is perfect. Grazer. Okay, so here's our... Actually, let's not tap the green source. Here's our Relic. Get rid of that Dredger immediately. We're still holding up an activation here, potentially. And we can continue to do so even after playing this Dryad by picking up and playing a untapped source with our Growth Chamber. So let's go ahead and take that opportunity. Alright, our opponent has seen the writing. Alright, cool. Straightforward match against Dredge. And remember what I was saying about blue-white control before, where you have no chance of winning game 1, and you're forced to win games 2 and 3. This just proves that if you want to beat Dredge, Amulet is one of the best decks to do so. We just barely, by the skin of our teeth, lost game 1. Our opponent did hit all 3 Creeping Chills. I don't know if they would have had enough damage for onboard lethal. They did Dredge all the way down to 2 cards left in deck that turn. I remember noticing that they only had 2 cards left, so maybe they had a crazy sequence of Dredges. I don't know. I'd have to go roll it back and check the footage, but something tells me that that game was a little atypical. But obviously we just, I mean, to be honest, Relic just demolished our opponent, and usually we don't have access to Relic, but I mean, Relic just makes this matchup trivial. Usually it would be a race to Titan into Bajuka Bog, and that would be enough to end it, but just being able to play a little bit slower and, you know, make a little bit of a compromising game plan around your Relic of Progenitus, give you the time to get to Titan naturally without having to stress yourself out. I mean, the Relic definitely obviously helps this matchup, so. Anyways, I will see you guys for the next match, where hopefully we can do just as convincingly. This is Red Face Menace, signing off.